Monday, May 11th. And I'll call this meeting to order, and this is a regular session for the Poquoson City Council. City Council is on the phone. First, I'll lead you in the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll do a roll call. So if we could all please rise for that. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and for the many blessings we've received in our city. I know it's a difficult time for all citizens of the state and the nation. We continue to be blessed by you, Father, and we humbly thank you for that. As we lead forward this evening, we ask that despite the distance between ourselves and our citizens in these days, that we open our hearts and our ears and our minds to what they might be feeling as citizens. As always, we ask for your blessing that it be felt by those who serve our nation, our city, and our state, be they in the military or public servants. And Lord, again, we just thank you for their families and for the many blessings that we have received. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you everyone for that. Evie, if we could do a roll call of council, I'd appreciate that.
Certainly. Vice Mayor Freeman.
Here.
Councilwoman Andrews.
Here.
Thank you. Councilman Southall.
Here.
Councilman Canella.
Here.
Councilman Hucks.
Here.
Councilman Green.
Here.
And Mayor Hunt.
Here.
All are accounted for.
All right, thank you very much for that. And council, thank you for all for joining us via telecon. All right, we have a special presentation that's scheduled and one unscheduled. The first one will be from the library director, Ms. Jessica Hartley. So Jessica, while you're coming up, I'll also let us know, that last meeting I had asked for an update on the school's budget based on the actions of the state as we approach our budget approval this evening. So I've asked Jennifer Parrish has joined us here to give us that update as well. But Jessica, first from you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council. The library is excited to announce that it began curbside pickup service for the public today. Patrons can visit our website, www.poquoson-va.gov/library, or call us at 868-3060 to place holds on items in the collection. We will then fill those holds and call each patron when their items are available for pickup. Holds will be held for 5 days, as has been our established procedure, and pickup will be available Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. We're also able to provide print, copy, and faxing service via this curbside service. For citizens who do not yet have a library card, we can issue those library cards over the phone. For your safety, all items returned in the book drop will be sanitized and held in quarantine for 3 days. If you see this designation in the online catalog, you may still place a hold on the item and it will be released after the 3 days. The library's entire physical collection of more than 65,000 items has been sanitized during the building's closure. For homebound Poquoson residents who cannot visit the library but would like to place holds and check out items, we've worked with the Friends of the Library and the Kiwanis Club of Poquoson to provide delivery service through June 12th. Patrons needing delivery can call the library to schedule a delivery date and time based on the availability of our volunteers. For those missing our classes and events, we've created online content during the building closure for programs that the library would traditionally hold in-house, such as story times, tech talks, and crafting how-tos. These videos can be found on Facebook and YouTube. We also want to remind the community that the library has thousands of ebooks and e-audiobooks available online through our Overdrive and RB Digital platforms. RB Digital has streaming TV and movies and downloadable magazines. You can also download and stream music free through our Freegal app. We have many other resources, especially for school children, available through the website. If you need help with any of these online services, please call the library for assistance. Thank you.
Jessica, thank you very much, and thank you to your staff, because this is very unique, and I appreciate you doing that, and it's also very forward-looking. So appreciate everything that y'all are doing through these difficult times and leaning forward to help the citizens. And please, citizens, take us up on that offer, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And Jennifer, welcome as always.
I don't have, as I usually do with you all, a prepared PowerPoint presentation, but I just want to provide a quick update as to where we are with our budget. As many of you are probably well aware of, the governor presented an amended budget back in April. Then the General Assembly came into Richmond and approved that amended budget and made a few changes to it. But what it means for us as a school division, the 2% compensation increase that was going to be provided for SOQ positions by the state was removed from the budget that was approved by the General Assembly. We also received some reductions in some categorical funding as well in that budget. What else, the other thing that's really impacting our budget right now is we've had to make a decision in terms of what we think the impact on sales tax revenue will have on the budget. We are funded through sales tax revenue by about $2.2 million, which is a big chunk of our $24 million budget. There are a lot of estimates about how much of a decrease we'll see in the state of Virginia in terms of sales tax revenue. We did some research. Also, I reached out to Fiscal Analytics, so an economist that works there, to get a sense of what he might estimate that schools would see as a reduction in sales tax revenue. So based on the research that I've done, speaking with him, what we're doing is estimating a 10% reduction in sales tax revenue for the schools for the coming year, which for us is about just over $249,000. So what we're working on now is making reductions to our budget to compensate for the loss in state funding that we're receiving, but additionally then our projected loss in the funding for from sales tax revenue. Do know that we're also concerned about lottery funding decline. The state is seeing that currently. Our understanding is for this current fiscal year, we're going to see the loss of lottery revenue backfilled by the state, so it won't impact us now through June. However, we're not sure yet what will happen in the coming fiscal year if there is a decline in lottery revenue. I will tell you, for us, our lottery revenue is about $29,000, an increase in that area that we saw in the budget. So we're not quite as concerned about the lottery as we are about sales tax revenue, but we are designing a budget that if we do see a decrease in lottery funds in addition to the sales tax revenue, that we will certainly be able to handle that internally if need be. We know the state is going to come back and do a reforecasting on the budget. We're predicting late summer, early fall. So that might give us a better sense in terms of, was the 10% projection correct for sales tax revenue? What's happening with lottery? Are there any other additional reductions that might be made by the state, or has a miracle occurred and might we actually see some of the money that we've reduced come back into the budget? But so I will take a budget to the board at their next meeting, which is a week from tomorrow, next Tuesday of next week, for their approval of the amended budget. We are basing that on level funding from you. I've been in contact with Randy, and I'll certainly be here tonight to answer any questions that you might have. As I've said to you for the last 12 years now, I cannot thank you enough for the support that you provide the schools. The fact right now that you think you're going to be able, at least starting into the fiscal year, to keep us level funded is making a huge difference for us, because we'd be looking for additional cuts. I know there are surrounding divisions that are in a different situation where they're already seeing losses in local revenues, both this current fiscal year and next year. So again, thank you to to our city manager as well as the city council for your continued support, and just know it really does make a difference for our schools. So those of you that have been working with me for 12 years, my life has come full circle. As you may remember, I landed here in the first year of the Great Recession, and I think my first year we had to make $1.2 million in reductions. And here I am as I'm about to leave back to making budget reductions. So certainly not how I wanted to see us end, but I want to reassure you, City Council, as well as our community, that we will have a budget that's in as good a shape as it can be as we move into the fiscal year in July 1st. And mentioning that, many of you may be aware of the fact that the school board did name and appoint a new superintendent, and his name is Arthur, although he goes by Artie Tillett, and he will start July 1 here. He already came last week, and I've spent hours with him working on transition. We'll continue to do that in the coming weeks. So he'll be ready to start, and he's excited to begin his journey in Poquoson. He comes to us from Dare County, North Carolina, so a similar community. I'm be excited to see what he's going to do as he leads you, and he's got a great personality, so community members, you'll be able to get to know him once we're able to mix and mingle amongst each other. So we do have information about his appointment and him online, and we'll probably post some more information as we get some videos done so people could get a sense of who he is. So that's my report for this evening for you all.
Well, Jennifer, let me just say how difficult it is to see you leave the city of Poquoson, but I know that your life won't stop and that you'll be doing some rich things, and I have a feeling that we'll see you in education in just a different light. But with that said, you're right. I'd forgotten that you came in 2008, and I think we've lived this journey together through some difficult economic times, but it has been my pleasure, and certainly I think I speak for the city manager, that the bottom line is we would not have gotten through some very difficult budget years without working together, and your openness and working with us has made a real difference. We're proud and honored to continue to support the Poquoson City Schools. A lot of that is because of your leadership. So never underestimate what we think and how much we'll miss you. Okay, Artie's got a lot to live up to. I haven't even met him yet, but he's got a lot to live up to, and I won't let him forget that in my remaining time here. But thank you, and thank you for coming this evening. Council, are there any questions? I know we're heading into the budget. Do you have any questions of Jennifer?
Want to do a roll call?
Do a roll call real quick.
Vice Mayor Freeman?
No question, but I will comment on what an outstanding job she's doing.
Very well.
Thank you. Councilwoman Andrews?
No questions. Again, just thank you to her, and what a quality superintendent we have had, and wherever she is going next, they are very lucky.
Thank you. Councilman Southall?
No questions, but again, thank Jennifer for the great work she did for the city, and I wish her well in the future.
Thank you. Councilman Canella?
Thank you. No questions, but just want to, thank Dr. Parrish, just like everybody else has done. We've always prided ourselves on a safe school system, and we've certainly been able to enhance that reputation in her 12 years. I am a product of her school system, and couldn't be any more proud of it or more thankful for her and all the folks at the school board office.
Thank you. Councilman Hux?
Thank you. I have no questions, but just wanted to remind Dr. Parrish what a pleasure it was to serve with her when I was a school board member and since as a council member.
Thank you. Councilman Green?
No questions. I just want to say I'm very thankful for her leadership and professionalism, and she has done just a stand-up job for the school system of Poquoson, and wish her well in her future endeavors.
Thank you. Mayor Hunt?
Nothing further.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
and just thank you for all the kind words, and please know that it has just been an absolute privilege for me to serve Poquoson for the last 12 years, and I look forward to hearing about all the wonderful things that will continue to happen in the school system. So thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, council, moving on to approval of the minutes. There's somebody prepared to make a motion that we approve the regular session of April 27th.
Mr. Mayor, Buddy Green, I move that we approve the minutes of the regular session of April 27th, 2020.
Second, Bud Zelko.
Okay, motion made and seconded that we approve the minutes. I'm sure there'll be no comments, so Evie, roll call, please.
Certainly. Councilman Green?
Aye.
Councilman Hux?
Aye.
Councilman Canella?
Aye.
Councilman Southall?
Aye.
Councilwoman Andrews?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman?
Aye.
And Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, very well. All right, unfinished business, and this is a second reading and the final adoption of the fiscal year 2021 annual financial plan. I know that we have to do the ordinances separately, but what I would like to do is lead this off, let Randy just walk us quickly through, or Tanya as necessary, any last-minute changes to the budget. I'll do a roll call before we start, just to see if there's any comments or questions of council throughout the budget. And then I won't repeat that each time we move forward on an ordinance. I'll go straight to roll call, okay, for the vote. All right, so Randy?
Okay, Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'll ask Tanya to come up and walk us through the memo that she prepared, which is essentially the change document, the add delete list is what we normally call it. While she's going up, I'll just bring a couple of things to your attention. One is a Scribner's error in the second ordinance, which is the ordinance pertaining to personal property in numbered section 2. Last line, it should say 2020 rather than 2019. That's a Scribner's error I wanted to point out. And I also wanted to share with you that since your last meeting, we did not receive any additional comments in the designated email address for budget comments, nor did we receive any in our office. So, Tanya, if you'd summarize the memo, please.
Absolutely. Mayor, member of council, tonight you have before you the changes for the recommended budget that we hope to adopt tonight. Last meeting, we went over a few changes. The only additional change that we have is that positive news, we have additional revenue coming in from the state. The General Assembly passed the fees for games of skills, so we are going to see a slight increase of that, about $10,000. What that does do is lower the amount that the departments would have to encumber because of that. So those are the two changes that we are presenting to you tonight, separate from those passed.
Okay. Randy, anything else?
No, sir.
All right. Council, I'll open up just for general comments, a discussion on any of these ordinances that you'd like to have. And I'll ask Evie to call the roll. The only question I have, Randy, is on the Scribner's error. Do we need to even call that out, or we consider that to be corrected as we move forward?
Since I corrected it and it has no substantive difference, and you don't need to formally amend it.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so roll call for any comments or questions on the budget.
Councilman Canella?
No comment.
Councilwoman Andrews?
No comment.
Councilman Green?
No comment.
Vice Mayor Freeman?
Only have one comment concerning the personal property watercraft and private living camping trailers. I have voted against this ever since we went to zero on the watercraft because I don't believe the government should select what type of recreation that we're going to, tax exempt. And I have pushed to add vessels and other vehicles that are used for recreation. But this year, our budget is so tight that I'm going to vote for it.
Thank you. Councilman Southall,
No questions.
Councilman Hucks.
No questions or comments.
Thank you. Mayor Hunt.
Just one comment, no questions on the budget. Randy, thank you and staff for doing this in very trying economic times. Again, thanks for Jennifer for clarifying the challenges that she's got. So I'm hearing a couple of bogeys there that we'll have to continue to watch for the school system, and that there will be more consideration once we move further down. I think this will be the year that the budget drags out longer. We'll have more conversations about the budget than a clean, we'll vote on it tonight to get it on the books, and it's a good budget for citizens. No tax increases, basically level funding, support for the schools. I will tell you that we will revisit this. There's obviously a drawdown based on what our state is going through, that it will impact our rainy day funds, right? And we're using those to protect the citizens as we design the systems to do. But we will probably have to do more reappropriations or more budget actions as we go forward, just so that everybody understands that it's more dynamic this year. And with that said, just keep up to speed and understand that we're doing our best. I will also compliment the city, and that includes the leadership of council, the leadership of the school board, the leadership of this staff, in that we are not feeling the pain of some of our surrounding localities, probably because of our fiscal position. And a lot of that has to do with what we have done as a city team, city and school system team, to make sure that positions are intact, that we've put priority on our people and not on our things. And that with that said, that there really will be little change except for the bleeding down, and I say that term in a good light, of some of our rainy day funds, because that's why they're there, okay, is for situations like this. So we're doing everything by design that we've thought of, and a lot of that has to do with the leadership of everybody that is listening here this evening. So thank you for what you've done, and with that, we'll start going through these ordinances. So the first is an ordinance establishing the real estate rate. Is there somebody prepared with a motion to move that forward this evening?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt an ordinance to lay a $1.14 levy per 100 assessed value on all real estate in the city of Poquoson, Virginia, for the general operation of the various departments of the city government.
Second. Freeman.
Vote Southall.
Okay. Motion made and seconded on that ordinance. Roll call for the vote.
Certainly. Councilman Canella,
Aye.
Councilwoman Andrews,
Aye.
Councilman Green,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman,
Aye.
Councilman Southall,
Aye.
Councilman Hucks,
Aye.
Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, the next ordinance is an ordinance establishing the personal property, watercraft, and privately owned camping trailers and mobile home tax rates. Is somebody prepared with a motion there?
Mr. Mayor, Buddy Green, again, I move that we adopt an ordinance to lay a $4.15 levy on all personal property, a 1/100,000th of a dollar levy on all watercraft, a $1.50 levy on all privately owned camping trailers and motorhomes, and a $1.14 levy on all vehicles without motive power used or designed to be used as manufactured homes in the city of Poquoson, Virginia, for the general operation of the various departments of the city government.
Okay.
Second. Vote Southall.
Okay, thank you. All right, roll call for the vote.
Certainly. Councilman Southall,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman,
Aye.
Councilman Hucks,
Aye.
Councilman Green,
Aye.
Councilman Canella,
Aye.
Councilwoman Andrews,
No.
Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 6 to 1.
Okay, the next ordinance here is an ordinance updating Chapter 66, Section 66, TAC 42, relating to an additional charge for a second recycle cart in solid waste fees. Somebody prepared with a motion.
Mr. Mayor, Buddy Green again. I move that we adopt an ordinance amending Chapter 66, Article 2, Section 66-42, solid waste collection charges of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Poquoson, Virginia.
Okay, is there a second?
Both Southall.
Thank you, Bud. All right, thank you, Buddy and Bud. All right, roll call for the vote.
Certainly. Councilman Hucks,
Aye.
Councilman Southall,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman,
Aye.
Councilman Green,
Aye.
Councilwoman Andrews,
Aye.
Councilman Canella,
Aye.
Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, and finally, the ordinance appropriating those monies from the various tax sources to the various governmental funds. Somebody prepared with a motion there.
Mr. Mayor, Buddy Green, move that we adopt an ordinance to appropriate funds to the various governmental funds of the City of Poquoson, Virginia for fiscal year 2021.
Second, Freeman.
Thank you, Buddy and Carrie. All right, roll call for the vote.
Vice Mayor Freeman. We'll come back. Councilwoman Andrews,
Aye.
Councilman Southall,
Aye.
Councilman Canella,
Aye.
Councilman Hucks,
Aye.
Councilman Green,
Aye.
Mayor Hunt,
Aye.
and Vice Mayor Freeman.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay. Next item is under new business, and this is a resolution making appointments to the Wetlands Board and Parks and Rec Advisory Board. Councilman Green, are you prepared to make a motion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I move that we adopt a resolution making appointments to the Parks and Rec Advisory Board and the Wetlands Board with the following names inserted. On the Wetlands Board, Jeffrey G. Dale. From the Central, he'll be an alternate. His term will expire January 31st, 2025. And for the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, Lindsay L. Watson at large, and her term will expire March 31st, 2023.
Is there a second?
Second, Bud.
Second, Freeman.
Okay. Thank you very much. And looking forward to Jeff and Lindsay's leadership. So roll call for the vote.
Certainly. Councilwoman Andrews,
Aye.
Councilman Canella,
Aye.
Councilman Southall,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman,
Aye.
Councilman Hucks,
Aye.
Councilman Green,
Aye.
Mayor Hunt.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
All right, very well. Comments of the city manager. Randy?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I really only have one thing this evening. The most frequent question that I receive today and most days lately has been, when is the city government buildings going to start opening? How does the state's Phase 1 reopening plan affect that? And I wish I had a precise answer. One of the things that has been constant throughout this public health emergency is things are constantly changing and sometimes going in one direction only to be redirected and go to another. For example, this weekend, the governor's office issued Executive Order number 61, which looks to me like the beginning of the Phase 1 reopening of certain businesses, some of the businesses that were closed in Executive Order 53. I realize this gets confusing. Executive Order 53, 55, and 61 are all on our website under COVID-19 if you'd like to see this yourself. And the Order 61 also modified the stay-at-home order, which was 55, and that was to safer at home. The devil's in the details. We don't always have the details. We're working through them. That executive order was signed over the weekend. We had thought that perhaps it would be signed earlier last week. We'd even had Hampton Road CAO meetings scheduled to talk about what's next, and unfortunately was not able to be executed till this weekend. So we began working on it really over the weekend and in earnest today. We're still working towards a phased reopening plan for the public buildings, not including the school system, which is still covered as it was. And we're going to work through that through the rest of the week. One of the things I thought I knew what Phase 1 reopening meant. I think I do. The governor's or executive order and guidance documents are pretty clear. But what I heard him say today in his 2 o'clock press conference was that he's still hopeful that we'll be able to move to that as a Commonwealth on Friday, but there would be more details to come later in the week. So that leads me to believe that he is at least contemplating the possibility of an extension of some of those dates that are in some of those executive orders. Now, most, or if not all, of the other comments have been leading towards a Friday implementation of the state's reopening plan. The guidelines are also on our website as well if people would like to see those. They are not as robust as I think a lot of folks, including some of our local businesses, had hoped for, but they do constitute generally a move towards opening, and that's a good thing. I would also note to you that the governor said today in his press conference, and the governor's been coming on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 2, if anyone would like to tune in to see that. But he said today that he was extending or pushing back the opening date for the state DMV offices for at least a week from today. So that it had, at one point, they had hoped to open early this week. Midpoint, they hoped to be open by appointment late this week, and the governor has pushed that off for the state DMV offices for next week. And obviously for us, our local DMV Connect and Select is not tied to the governor's timing on the state DMVs, and will likely be amongst the last things we'll reintroduce here because of the volume of people that they bring into our building. Now, and that's all I got,
Okay.
sir. Thank you.
Did you want to talk about the school board appointments and public hearings?
Oh, thank you. This is just an informational note for those that are watching us at home. We have been, for the last few days, a few days ago, we began the 2-week period, which is really a 17-day period now in the public health emergency time, where we're soliciting via a public hearing process school applications, board bank applications for members of the school board for both the central and western precincts. We have one appointment in each. So any person who would like to have themselves considered should submit a board bank application. They can do that either by contacting the city clerk or by emailing it to a specific website, or email address that we set up for this purpose, school board appointment, all one word, at Poquoson-va.gov. And the way this process works is we'll take all of the people who are put forward for consideration, and we will bring them to your next meeting, and we will have the public hearing. And during that public hearing, we will read the names of all people that have put forward their names, and then city council members will also have an opportunity, if they would like to introduce anyone else's name into that public hearing process. At the conclusion of the public hearing process, only those persons whose names were mentioned during the public hearing would be eligible for consideration of the school board, which would be at your first June meeting. And while the public hearing would be closed, we would continue to accept public comments if anyone had them regarding any of the proposed appointees up through the first June meeting.
Okay, thank you very much for that clarification. And I'll save my comments for directives. So we're now at council directives, and if we could do a roll call for any comments of council.
Certainly. Councilwoman Andrews?
Yes, I would just like to thank everybody in the city that's done such a great job of adjusting to a really difficult situation, especially our city staff who have done an amazing job with the library pickup. I know they're doing voter registration. There's a sign outside you can call and they'll come out to handle that. I just think, we have businesses that are doing curbside pickup. So I just think as a town, our citizens and our city employees really deserve a big kudos for how they've handled this and kept our city running and allowed our citizens to be safe. And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Canella?
Thank you. A few things this evening, of course. Thank staff, school and city for the work they've done during this budget. I know it's not been easy. Another thing I would ask of staff is that even going into next year's budget and after we know what this one really means to us, that maybe we consider a few more updates going into next year, perhaps even before another off-site meeting, maybe one in the fall and maybe one right after the first of the year, just so that we're all on the same page of where we're at going into next year's budget, because I know that'll be impacted as well. We'll also encourage that whenever the governor allows us that we get this council back in council chambers as soon as possible. I know everybody's looking forward to it, and I know we have some pretty important work session items to cover. So I just would like to emphasize that. Other than that, my comments are finished, and just thank Dr. Parrish again, if she's still there, for her leadership in the school systems and 12 years in service to our city. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilman Southall?
Yes, I would like to second all the comments made so far, but I want to add my personal thanks to Randy and the rest of the city staff for doing such an excellent job in keeping the city running, and also pass on my comments to Dr. Parrish for her excellent work in the city, and wish her well in the future. Wish all the citizens of Poquoson well. Be glad to get out of this COVID shutdown, and look forward to the days when this is over.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Freeman?
Yes, Councilwoman Andrews and Councilman Southall covered what I was going to say in an outstanding manner.
Thank you. Councilman Hux?
Thank you. I'd just like to reinforce the previous comments. I think they summed it up nicely. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Green?
I'd just like to say a public thank you to Fire Chief Robert Holloway and Battalion Chief Skippy Smith. Pat and I noticed that a workboat had sunk over at York Haven Marina yesterday, and I didn't know if they still did it or not, or assisted in such things, but within 30 minutes they had delivered a pump to the people to help get that boat up. So I appreciate their quick response, and it really was great. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mayor Hunt?
I'll just echo all the comments, including the last one. I didn't realize the fire department had done that, and I think it's great. Thanks for everybody for stepping out of their normal lines and helping others through these difficult times. We have a couple other employees that'll leave us, but I'm going to leave in the coming months. I'll leave that until a future meeting to make those announcements and just focus on Jennifer Parrish this evening. So again, thank you for what you brought to the city, and look forward to working with you at some point in the future on anything, okay? But thanks for what you do. All right, with that said, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move, Mr. Mayor.
Second, Freeman.
Okay, roll call for the vote.
Certainly. Councilwoman Andrews?
Aye.
Councilman Canella?
Aye.
Councilman Southall?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman?
Aye.
Councilman Hux?
Aye.
Councilman Green?
Aye.
Mayor Hunt?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, and we